Good morning. I'm Shanthi Rajagopalan from the Microsoft Worldwide Consumer Goods team, Retail and Consumer Goods team. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Really a pleasure to chat with you all today, share with you how we're seeing opportunities in both retail and consumer goods. Just to give you a little bit of background on who I am, I've been at Microsoft for about 5 years, and prior to that, I ran the online channel and customer experience at a connected device startup down in San Francisco. Prior to that, spent most of my career kind of in and around retail and consumer goods. It's funny, I feel like I keep trying to do different things, but it keeps pulling me back. So now I've just kind of decided to go with it and accept that it's going to be retail from here on out. I'm really excited to be speaking with you all today and look forward to any questions you might have. Ron, I'm going to go ahead and just pause the camera to make sure we kind of make best use of the bandwidth, and I'll go ahead with the presentation. Okay, if hopefully you all can still see me and you're able to see my presentation. Let me see if I can close this up as well. There we go.
Looks great, Shanthi.
Okay, great. So I've moved on to the first slide with Microsoft's mission. Hopefully it's advanced and you can see it. The Microsoft mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And I always find it really important to start with this mission because it really grounds us in everything that we do. When we think about what it's going to take for retailers, consumer goods, organizations, our planet to come out of this COVID-19 pandemic, it's really going to require everyone to bring kind of the best of their innovative capabilities to solve the challenges that we're facing. To the extent that, one of our customers actually said to us, COVID is the new chief innovation officer. It has had a dramatic impact on our lives, on, the health of our communities. Many of us have experienced folks who have, been close to us that have been sick or even passed away. It's been a really dramatic impact on our society, but in some interesting ways, necessity has been the mother of invention. And we have really seen kind of an amazing leap forward in capabilities on a number of fronts. So I'll just share a couple of things that we've been seeing kind of in this time of COVID really steering investments in retail and consumer goods. The first thing that we're really seeing and hearing from customers is shocks to loyalty. Our friends at McKinsey have been studying a panel of folks for many months now, and they report 75% of US consumers are trying a new shopping behavior in response to economic pressure. They're also saying that shoppers are switching brands more so now than ever before, with things like availability or convenience or value really leading to these changes in behavior. And so some of the things that are very interesting here is as supply chains have been constricted and we did not find the products that we were searching for kind of on our usual shelves, consumers have been trying different brands. And interestingly, private label brands have really benefited from this because they are seen as providing value to the end consumer. And oftentimes retailers have the opportunity to manage that pipeline a little bit more closely. We're also seeing new shopping channels. Many consumers are reporting trying e-commerce for the first time, trying purchases on social for the first time. So I think one of the big shifts we've really seen is this idea of kind of shocks to loyalty. And of course, then the e-commerce acceleration. We've heard everyone describe it as, 30 years of progress in 3 months or 3 years of progress in 3 weeks. Retailers tell us they're experiencing basically Cyber Monday volumes every Monday. We've seen a 15 to 30% growth in consumers who've purchased online for the first time. Categories like OTC medicine, groceries, home supplies, personal care, these have all grown at 40%. Consumers purchasing online. And interestingly, 49% of the folks that McKinsey surveyed said they intend to continue with grocery delivery even past the kind of COVID pandemic requirements. So these trends in e-commerce acceleration are really bringing a few things kind of front and center, top of mind. The first is the requirement really to have a digital relationship with your end consumer. And we're seeing this be true for both retailers and consumer goods companies that, now more than ever are dabbling in things like direct to consumer sales and e-commerce purchases. But home delivery is also a very interesting one. And I see this as really the tip of the iceberg, and the go forward will likely be, buy anywhere, fulfill from anywhere, kind of pick up or deliver anywhere. So whether that's pick up at a locker or get delivered to your home or pick up in store at curb, we're really seeing the requirement for that flexibility in delivery. And with this acceleration of orders being fulfilled from stores, this concept of micro-fulfillment is really coming alive. I think when e-commerce was, say, 10% of a retailer's business, the ability to fulfill those orders from a centralized fulfillment center, maybe made sense from a time and cost perspective. But now, as it's becoming 30, 40+% of the business, the requirement to fulfill product kind of more closely located to the end consumer. If you can house that product closer to the person you need to deliver it to, it's much less expensive and also faster to get them those capabilities. And interestingly, many retailers tell us that they've got a retail store within, say, 5-10 miles of 80-90% of the population. So the opportunity to really use product that is in your store to fulfill orders is becoming very interesting for retailers. And that's also being driven by the third trend, which is contactless shopping. So again, McKinsey tells us that 73% of consumers are still hesitant to resume regular activities outside the home, and 79% of consumers intend to continue or increase their use of self-checkout in retail even after the COVID pandemic kind of subsides. And the thing that's interesting about contactless shopping is I feel like it goes back to some of the basics that, customers always tell us they want. They want convenience, they want value, they want personalization, they want choice. And so the opportunity to really invest in contactless shopping, I think, is better now than ever to, one, minimize the interaction that a customer may have to have with your store or with your associates, but also to really deliver on those aspects of choice and convenience. And so with some of these kind of trends in mind, really kind of COVID shaping the innovation that we're seeing with various customers, I'll share with you kind of how we at Microsoft have been talking about this idea of enabling intelligent retail. And we really see kind of 4 opportunities. The first is really to know your customer. As I shared, having a digital relationship with your consumer is really now a must. And so knowing who your customer is, creating a customer 360, identifying how you can grow your, kind of engagement with them, how to build loyalty, how to make them a customer for life. This is becoming incredibly important. And empowering your employees, 80% of a retailer's workforce is distributed in retail and physical stores and warehouses. And so really thinking about kind of digitizing that first line worker experience, it's actually becoming increasingly important given that these individuals may not be able to be physically in a store. So how can you use this kind of brain trust that you have to, say, support your e-commerce transactions, or to create kind of digital shopper experiences that really make use of this employee base that you have. But it's even more paramount then that they really have a digitized experience, can plug into the capabilities that you have across your enterprise. Deliver intelligent supply chain, as we've talked about, now more importantly than ever, the requirement to get the right product to the right place at the right time at the right cost for both you as well as your end customer, never been more important. And Reimagine Retail is really about how we can bring kind of the best of all of these capabilities to the left, to think about digitizing physical spaces, to think about creating net new revenue streams from them. How can you create new engagement with your end consumer? And of course, all of this is really fueled by data and AI. You know, people say data is the new oil, and then they said it was the new water, and now it's the new air, whatever kind of example you would like to use. Truly, data and AI is what fuels, you know, kind of everything that we see happening across the board right now. So I'm going to click in just a little bit into the Reimagine Retail scenario with you all today. It's really the one where we're seeing, you know, kind of massive amounts of data, both created by IoT sensors as well as traditional applications, really fueling a lot of the innovation there. And in Reimagine Retail, we see a set of opportunities really driving digital transformation. So as we've talked about, the opportunity to build customer confidence with safe and efficient stores. Very important at this time. Reducing that contact between shoppers and in-store associates. Again, protecting your associate and helping bring customers back into your stores. Improve in-store inventory accuracy and fulfillment efficiency. You know, I think most retailers tell us they believe their inventory on hand in retail is about 60% accurate. And if you're counting on that inventory to fulfill orders from online, we've really got to improve the ability to have accurate inventory in store and improve fulfillment efficiency. The next one I kind of alluded to of, you know, is there an opportunity to use the capabilities of your workforce that if you can't bring the customer to the store, is there an opportunity to kind of bring the store to the customer? And really what this is thinking about ways to engage customers differently in an e-commerce environment. And last but not least is to really monetize kind of in-store audiences with personalized digital advertising. And on one hand, where many retailers may be seeing a reduction in traffic to their stores, we do see essential retailers actually becoming you know, quite lucrative advertising venues, given many other typical venues like stadiums or theaters are now closed. The other interesting thing here is really about the shift of, you know, kind of these monetization opportunities or personalization opportunities shifting to the exterior of the store. If the customer is going to pick up at curve, well, then you've now invented a new digital surface to really engage them with even outside the store. And so, of course, all of these things are to drive the metrics that are most important to retail, how stores can be more efficient, how your customers and associates can be safe, with accurate inventory really driving customer satisfaction with an experience that they know what they're going to get and it's going to be delivered to them. And of course, trying to improve store profitability as you go. So all these opportunities have really shaped our vision to reimagine retail. And I won't go into these in a lot of detail because you'll hear from several other folks throughout the course of the day on opportunities to really drive you know, innovation across all of these, improving store efficiency, automation and safety, really making contactless shopping something that is a fabulous experience beyond just the necessity that it is today. Really thinking about your stores as a fulfillment node. You know, we anticipate, you know, likely in the future stores maybe half warehouse, kind of half experiential, and those two things really coming together, the ability to provide both kind of an endless aisle experience as well as use your stores as a fulfillment node, could be one of the big reinventions we see of physical stores in the months and years to come. Diversified shopping experience, you know, how can you use things like augmented reality for virtual try-on or, you know, digital chat, one-way video chat for a customer to really have confidence in the purchase that they're making online. And we touched on in-store advertising just a bit. You know, I think those are some of the key themes I wanted to share with you on how we're thinking about intelligent retail. I can also share a bit of our thoughts on intelligent consumer goods, but I'll just pause here, Ron, if there's any questions or anything I should do differently in the next little bit here.
No, I think that's perfectly fine. I'll be monitoring the Q&A. Love to get some questions. I should point out we've got some swag and some shirts to give away from Cloud Health and others for every question. So we'll hopefully encourage some interaction, but I think it's going absolutely great. Okay,
sounds great. I will move on then to share with you a little bit about how, again, we're thinking about intelligent consumer goods. So very similarly to retail, you know, data and AI is really fueling everything in the consumer goods space. And consumer goods companies sit at a really interesting kind of intersection between the end consumers, the retailers they sell through, and kind of all of their suppliers. So in a lot of ways, they can be kind of that lifeblood of data that connects the entire ecosystem. And what we're really hearing from consumer goods companies is kind of the requirement right now to optimize brand performance. As I kind of mentioned to you, kind of the shocks to loyalty caused by the COVID-19 pandemic is really making brands look at what is their value proposition, where are they spending their ad dollars, how can they connect to end consumers, really regain loyalty if needed, or kind of grow it for life. On Connect Your Enterprise, this is a really interesting one because consumer goods companies have a very large kind of information worker-based workforce, just as many of us in tech do, but they also have really distributed field forces that are out in stores doing merchandising, developing sales relationships. They've got factories, they've got warehouses. So there's a very diverse set of individuals that make up the workforce for a consumer goods company, and thinking about technology that can really bring them together, give them a single platform, both for collaboration as well as making data-driven business decisions, I think is really key for consumer goods companies. Sustainable and operational excellence. Sustainability is definitely a key capability that consumer goods companies are telling us are top of mind. Some of that is being fueled by requirements to meet, various sustainability mandates, but it's also coming from consumers that really want to see brands do more to improve the sustainability of their products, how they're produced, how they're shipped, and even how they're used. And last but not least is accelerate innovation. And I'll talk about this one in a little bit more detail here, so I won't go into too much here. But it's really thinking about how do consumer goods companies kind of play the long game and really build the agility that they need to compete both with kind of traditional competitors as well as challenger brands. And I think that's really one of the key things that we thought about around this idea of accelerate innovation. That if you look at the success of challenger brands, I've listed a few here and there's many more. You can really kind of choose any of the ones that you may be familiar with. But there's some common themes that these challenger brands all seem to really be doing quite well. For starters, they're developing products from kind of deeply understood consumer needs, really studying consumers and using consumer needs-driven innovation. Second, we're seeing them, pretty rapidly kind of innovate and bring product to market. Most consumer goods companies tell us it takes anywhere from 18 to 24 months to bring a new product to market. So I think the ability to innovate and get there faster is pretty critical. And they all have direct-to-consumer relationships. And this is a really, really important one. As I've already mentioned a couple of times, the opportunity for a consumer goods company to know their consumer directly, to get data about who they are, how they consume the product, what their interests might be. What that really does is allow for social and digital engagement surfaces beyond the point of purchase. So for many consumer goods companies, they know a product was sold at a retailer, but they don't really know to whom, and they're not able to kind of follow that product home, if you will. And this ability to kind of, digitize the product itself really allows brands to capture feedback in real time. Then they can use the platforms that they have to introduce new products and services and get real-time feedback loops, what's working, what's not, to again, kind of go back to the beginning with consumer needs-driven innovation, rapid innovation cycles, using those consumer relationships to get feedback and then, kind of refill the whole jar again, if you will. It also gives them the opportunity to think about their business models and, what are some different business models that might support diversified revenue streams, whether it be subscription services, in-home, connected products, any number of opportunities exist. And so when we put some of those capabilities of challenger brands into context, it really identifies some opportunities for consumer goods companies to accelerate innovation. And it really is many of the things that we've just been talking about, how they can develop products based on consumer needs, how they can digitize the product innovation lifecycle to improve collaboration, speed their ability to get products to market. Invest in reusable and smart packaging. This is a really interesting one to me. I think the opportunity to try to solve for the problem of eliminating single-use plastics creates another opportunity, which is if packaging is going to be reusable, how can that be a new digital engagement surface to really, as I said, kind of follow that consumer home and better understand who they are, how they use the product, and what they might need next. Diversifying engagement and revenue channels. I think we're seeing opportunities here around unattended retail or smart vending cabinets, the opportunity to really bring product to where the consumer may be, as opposed to the consumer always having to go in search of that product. And I also mentioned briefly kind of this unique position that consumer goods companies have of being kind of in the center of their ecosystem between retailers and suppliers. So how does that create opportunities for them to be leaders in kind of convening consortiums that can drive improved operations or customer service? So again, these things kind of speak to some of the key metrics that a consumer goods company might be trying to move, increase their time to market, improve new product introduction, success, and ROI, really meet sustainable packaging requirements, gain market share, and improve consumer engagement. And of course, always improve operational efficiency, as any profit that you can increase there is really what goes towards fueling all of these new initiatives. So when I put all these things together, I mean, really our vision to accelerate innovation is a combination of all of these things. How you can use data and AI to trend spot, understand both the consumers you have as well as opportunities to gain new consumers, whether that's for new product lines, whether that's in new geographies or emerging markets. It's really interesting when you think about, trends like reduced sugar beverages or plant-based meats. These are all things that started to emerge kind of in data as you look at cohorts and consumer preferences and buying patterns. So very interesting to think about how we can apply data and AI to identify new consumer opportunities. Innovation collaboration. This pandemic has, put all of us in a position where we're working 100% remotely, digitally, and has really taken huge leap forwards in how we can collaborate effectively, even when not physically co-located. So in consumer goods too, we're seeing, a lot of innovation in the fashion business and how augmented reality is being used to design products, even when designers can't be physically with others to design, or virtual fabric samples. Really thinking about the role of technology and innovate and AR, other capabilities to improve collaboration. Smart and sustainable packaging, we talked about just a bit. I think everything from using the package as an engagement surface, something as simple as scanning a QR code to take you into a digital application, again, creates that kind of reason for the end consumer to be known to the brand, to develop a relationship that can be ongoing throughout the consumer's kind of lifetime of engaging with that brand. New digital engagement, goodness, it feels like everything is going to be smart, quote unquote, in the years to come, whether that's your refrigerator or it's, smart sensor head on a soap dispenser, or it's the packaging itself, smart pantries, smart laundry rooms, you name it. So I think we anticipate seeing a lot of new digital engagement between consumer goods brands and consumers as we go. And then ecosystem data sharing. Again, really the opportunity to kind of bring data together in a trusted environment with the right controls, audit, ability to share data to really drive improved operational efficiency. We're already seeing several consumer goods companies experiment this even within their own ecosystems. The complexity that they have sometimes with bottlers or other suppliers, wholesalers. Really starting to see some opportunity in this area. And so if I kind of bring it all together, many of the topics that we've been talking about, it's really built on a set of capabilities that we at Microsoft like to think about kind of in layers. Really thinking about kind of Azure as that fundamental, layer of data and AI that's driving, everything above. And then based on that, being able to use things like our Power Platform. If you think about the citizen developer and their ability to really, use, kind of low code, no code platforms to drive innovation, it's a really interesting opportunity that we're seeing more and more customers take advantage of. And of course, then kind of our fully finished SaaS services, so things like Microsoft Dynamics, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Advertising. So again, these layers of, foundational capabilities that you as a developer can use to create a custom solution. Things like Power Platform that allow for more rapid innovation from the citizen developer, or fully finished SaaS applications. And then, of course, our best-in-class partner ecosystem, some of whom you'll hear from as the day progresses. But we're really seeing kind of partners be, a brilliant kind of last-mile partner, if you will, to really deliver those finished solutions that retailers are looking for. And of course, all of this is wrapped in kind of trust, data security, the fundamentals of governance that we know are so critical as retailers and consumer goods move forward. So you'll hear about several more of these use cases in detail today from some of my colleagues. And in closing, I think the last kind of thought that I'll leave you with is really, at Microsoft, we believe it's, your customers, your employees, your data. And this is so important, again, going back to our mission of empowering every organization and every person on the planet to do more. So we really do see the opportunity to partner with retail and consumer goods companies to help them grow their business, to think about how their customers can have a richer experience with their brand, to think about how their employees can feel more fulfilled and drive more value for the company, and to really use your data to your advantage. We will never monetize your data, we will never compete with you. And so we really see kind of the opportunity to partner with retailers and consumer goods companies as a privilege, and hope we get a chance to work with many of you that are on the call